don't have a target. Inventory is full.
Immune? What the fuck? Why is he immune? What's up with that bullshit? Fucking broken ass game. Why is he immune?
From a day at work, they come home, the wife spent too much of your money, they're gonna beat the wife up. The Bible says the Bible says to raise your hand at your wife if she disobeys
you. Then you should be able to demonstrate or show that women were being abused at these much higher rates, especially domestically. They were not. But what is happening is that children are now abused at a much higher rate because feminism has broken up the nuclear family. So what happens is women, they'll have almost all children now, not all, I'm sorry, but almost over half, last I checked, are not born in wedlock anymore, the children which are born. Single motherhood is at an all-time high, and it's going to continue to increase. And what happens is if you bring in a non-biological parent into the home, the chance of abuse for your children drastically increases. I mean, it drastically increases with a non-biological male parent, stepdad.
You're putting the responsibility of women on the lack of fathers, but you have to know that it's not completely on the responsibility of women, right?
Well, I'm not saying that women bear a full burden or responsibility for a man abusing them, so they have to get a divorce, or any number of these different cases. But what I am saying is that women are far more likely to end these marriages,
especially when they turn immune for no fucking reason.
You're talking college-educated women like you; it's as high as 90%. of the marriages which are ended are initiated by them. And then, it's about 67% of general marriages are ended by women, and it's for irreconcilable differences, not for abuse. It's not for abuse. It's like number 4 down the list is money, but the first one's irreconcilable differences.
Oh, come on, dude. What is this fucking spawn, bro? Oh, I fucking hate this shit. Yeah. And let me guess, that's fake? Yeah, it's fake. So fucking Blizzard's such a useless fucking company.
I forgot what point we were trying to build to.
Well, we were building in feminism being a destructive path to the nuclear family, and how that's one of the primary reasons that I oppose it.
And meanwhile, this
example of how it has
useless fucking paladin, terrible garbage class, walks in, takes the boss, and then fucks off again. So I have to wait for 15 fucking minutes.
That's why.
Because some useless class came along.
That's only one reason. The other reason is because now it requires 2 incomes in order to raise a family, which means that more and more women have to send their kids off to public school. Public school gets extended longer and longer periods of time because it ends up being a babysitting platform for women, or for women's children. So basically, the public schools have now become your built-in babysitter, and then you have latchkey kids who come home, and you have these 2-income families, rather than having the mom at home, which is, of course, optimal. And that's because we have 2 parents in the workforce, and we should really be trying to strive towards just 1 parent in the workforce. That would be optimal for the kids, right?
Why does that 1 parent in the workforce have to be the man?
Well, they don't have to be, but men can do most of the jobs that require that infrastructure requires. Women can still work. They work as nurses. In fact, they work in the same jobs that they kind of work in now they gravitate towards, which is service work, clerical work, nursing. But what they don't gravitate towards is working on oil rigs, working on shipwrights, working on docks.
Piece of shit stole the goddamn kill.
Working on infrastructure.
Some useless fucking
AC
gun
control.
class.
They don't work on
useless at level 1, useless at level 60.
Generally speaking, women can be in kind of these...
A drain on our collective resources.
And that's fine, but it would be optimal if we were able to pull them back away from that.
Is he immune?
More and more and more, and instead
shouldn't I see something that tells me he's immune? What is this shit?
That would be very helpful for society, and it would be better for the kids.
Why is that not showing up on the nameplates?
Wouldn't it?
No.
Wouldn't that be the case?
No, so it's just supply and demand. So if you have the only cup in the world, it's worth a lot more than if everybody has the same cup, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's the same thing here. If you reduce the workforce by 50%, then they're going to be able to demand higher wages for the job vacancies because now jobs are competing for them.
No, jobs wouldn't be... Oh, wait, hold on. You reduce the workforce... I told you I'm bad at math. I don't know.
Okay. Brian, I don't know where else we go with this, man. Okay.
Keep going for just a second. Maybe read that super chat thing if you can pull it up. Yeah. What do you guys do?
Brian, pull up lesbian domestic violence statistic images, kids in that house, and a good woman gets whatever she wants. These 304s don't get shit. Yeah, so he's saying that the domestic violence for lesbian couples is also through the roof. That's true, but I was just willing to grant it to show you that it still wouldn't make for the kind of outcome on society that I think we're looking for from a person who has the harm principle.
See, this is the thing about a good woman gets what she wants. These hoes don't get shit. What is the equivalent to that for men? Like, oh, a man who makes a lot of money gets what he wants and the rest don't get shit? That's not true. Because, okay, yeah, maybe they can pull less women, but in this case, you're saying a woman who's bad is subject to being treated worse by their partner, being hit, being punished for their failures, I don't know. Versus if a man fails, he just doesn't get a mate. He doesn't get physically abused.
Well, I mean, if you didn't have a mate, you wouldn't get physically abused either, right?
Yeah, but in this scenario, I need a mate in order to have a bank account. So.
Well, no, you'd get your bank account through your father until you had a mate.
What father?
Yeah, well, you're the ones who want to destroy that nuclear family, so... That used to not be such an easy thing to do, to let your father walk out.
My father? I let my father walk out.
Not you. I'm just saying to let the father walk out on their family. Let.
It's never a father's personal choice to just walk out on his family.
There's social stigma, which is applied often, and church stigma, which used to be applied often, and the state could come in and actually make fathers take care of their children. Yes, they actually did do that. Not joking.
Okay, same goes for, like, you just said that a man shouldn't wait. Okay. Never mind, I'm going to sound stupid.
Okay.
We have a chat here. G.R. Gracie says, blank on one, some of these young ladies are very respectful, introspective. I must ask, what convinces a woman that competing in business with men is more important than nurturing the next generation? If you'd like to respond.
That's a good question. I think that, like I said earlier, I just have a very individual view, and I think that maybe it's kind of a hedonistic view in this sense, but people should be able to do whatever maximizes their own happiness. And if having a career and being a business owner is like maximizes my happiness more so than...
You don't believe that, though. You don't believe people should be able to do whatever they want to.
Okay, not whatever. They have to concede to some things in the social contract with the government.
Then why can't they concede to let us make a social contract with the government that requires you to take care of your children and nuclear family, and that's what we move to as a society
because
in order
that's
to
based on the
minimize
Bible.
harm.
Because that's based on the Bible. It's not...
No, I'm talking about minimizing harm. I'm talking about minimizing harm.
There's no... Okay, can you quantify for me how much harm is caused by the nuclear family being broken apart?
Well, yeah, I can give you tons of metrics. I just went over a shitload. You want to go through them again?
Yeah, sure.
Let's start with the metric of divorce rates increasing, the amount of women that are on the pill. Let's talk about
But you can't prove that those are being caused by feminism.
We can. We can look at policies going back to when the 19th Amendment was ratified, and we can see who pushed for no-fault divorce, which was feminist. We can see who pushed for the pill, which was feminist. We can actually, track. We can track all of this data. In fact, the CDC does
What's
track
so bad about the pill?
a lot of these data. Well, I think that the pill might be one of the reasons that the mental illness rate in women is so high, because it fucks their hormones all up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the milk you drink doesn't fuck your hormones all up? Don't even ask me.
I don't drink a lot of milk, but I can understand that. But there's laws in the books that you can't drink raw milk.
Okay, but I'm saying there's
and there used to be that people could,
anywhere.
But now there's laws saying you can't. And yes, you're right. There are hormones inside of all types of food that can fuck your hormones up for sure, but not nearly as. And that's over time. Plastics will do the same thing. We were talking about that earlier. I agree with that. That's one thing we can find common ground on, right? Foods can have all sorts of hormones, antibiotic-resistant pathogens in them. But that doesn't change the fact that mental illness likely is increasing in women due to the fact that so many are on birth control.
You can't just take a fact and put it next to another fact and say that one causes the other. Where's the reasoning? There's no argument being made. That one is not valid premises for the argument.
Well, we'll try this then. Do you think...
You don't.
when it comes to reproduction, that the pill has decreased reproduction in women?
Has decreased. I couldn't tell you, but it is a preventative measure.
You don't think it's reduced reproduction?
Yes, it has.
It has.
If every woman...
I don't know. That's just a correlate. You can't just put one thing next to another thing and then make this bold claim that correlation makes causation, right?
If every woman was to have been taken off of birth control from the beginning of its creation and had sex all those times until now without the birth control, there would be a lot more babies born.
But that's still just a correlate, right?
I just explained to you how one causes the other because the birth control literally prevents the pregnancy.
But all causes just use strong correlates, all of them. Just so you know.
Go back to what you were saying. What was the point you were making? You said the pill.
The point that I was making was that the nuclear family and the damage which has been caused by us getting away from the nuclear family can be quantified. And then I was explaining the ways in which it can be.
Keep going.
So one of the things that I brought up was mental illness in women, and the fact that so many women who are on antidepressants especially, they're able to correlate that with the fact that they're on birth control pills.
How do you know that they're not depressed because of outside reasons?
Because they take them off the birth control pills and they become less depressed. That's how.
Oh, yeah? Do you have a study for that one?
Oh, did you have a study for the correlatory that you just gave? No, but it makes sense, right?
But yours... Okay, that's fine.
But
any
yes,
other
there is data.
quantifiable
There is
factors?
data for that.
Any other quantifiable factors?
Oh, there's tons. There can be genetics involved. If you come from a single-family household, that seems to have more of an impact on girls, unless the girls are raised by the fathers. And then if they're raised by the fathers instead of their mothers, it seems that
What
their
is
mental
your
illness
evidence
decreases.
for the claim that a single family influences girls more heavily? I mean, a single-parent family.
Because single-parent, well, that's not my claim. So my claim was, in a single-parent family where there's a woman, single mom who's running the family, the outcomes for the children, including mental illness, seem to be worse than if there's a single dad. The outcomes still aren't good. They're not like optimal. It's not what you'd like to see. They seem to be better from a single father household when it comes to mental illness than a single mom household when it comes to mental illness in the kids.
It's because single father households tend to make more money.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, it's true.
Because
look it up.
That is true.
Single father households
but
make more
you're
money
leaving
than
a
single mother
big
households.
variable out of there, which is that the state aid, which comes in to single mothers along with child support, will often compensate for that income gap. This would include food money, free health care.
Trust me, I know all about it.
Yeah, but I mean, it does.
But
it does compensate. So if a man makes $4 on average more per hour than a single mother, that will disqualify him from potentially hundreds of dollars in food aid plus free health care on Medicaid.
Yes, but
So
the
that's a
reason
bad
why
argument.
that state aid exists so heavily is because historically men have discouraged women from working and have encouraged them to be mothers. They're less capable to work in high earning
I'm not
jobs.
even
Therefore,
beating
they
up-
need more
I'm
welfare
not
when
even
their
beating
husbands
up the
die or
welfare.
leave.
I'm not even beating up the welfare. Men can qualify for the same welfare if they make less. I'm pointing out that your argument that the reason there's less mental illness inside of the children is because mommy doesn't make as much money as daddy would when it's clearly compensated
False.
for by state aid.
Would you say a Section 8 apartment is the same as an apartment paid for by daddy's salary?
Yeah, but
No.
daddy. But here's the thing.
No, in the neighborhood that they're living in? Ooh, that's rough.
Okay, so most of the men who would be involved with a woman who's in Section 8 housing would also be in Section 8 housing.
But that's not
It is.
what I
Oh
said.
my God,
that
dude.
The men, I didn't say
It
that they were
doesn't.
together.
It doesn't even gas that shit.
Men
What is
would
going
be higher
on?
earners.
Yeah, that's true, but most of the women who are single moms are not
How's it
living in
immune?
Section 8 housing. And
What?
other
What the
thing to
fuck,
look at,
man?
Not even close.
Bro,
Not
this
even
squeak flame word is
close are they living-
bullshit,
most
bro.
Single moms living in Section 8
Complete,
housing,
utter
not even in the
nonsense.
same universe. True, they could be living in more poverty conditions, maybe barely making
Is that
ends meet
shit
for
like
their
Instacast?
3-bedroom
What the fuck is that
apartment or their
garbage?
2-bedroom apartment for their kids. But the dads have to deal with the same exact thing. It's just that if they are earning more, then mothers are compensated for that lack of earning
From the government.
yeah,
do you think
through
that
Medicaid
do you
and
think
food
that
stamps.
Medicaid is as high quality as
Medicaid
private
is,
health insurance?
Yes, Medicaid's some of the best insurance on planet Earth, along with Medicare. It's fantastic.
then why don't we universalize it?
Because then basically a subset of the population would have to be paying for everybody's shit, which right now still not optimal that we have to pay for everybody's shit. That's why, because you can't afford it. Because universalization in Canada did not work out very well, and that's why people go to hospitals which are privately owned, even though they're not supposed to. They just turn a blind eye so that people can get their health care. That's why. But that aside, moving back to this, I'm not going to let you evade this. Your claim was that single moms make for more mentally ill children.
Look how
because
fast,
of
dude! I
this
can't even
earning gap.
counterspell it.
I didn't say that.
You did.
I was out of range, that's
Because-
why.
and
I said it could be a factor.
No, what happened
This is
was
cancer,
I asked,
bro.
I said 1 in 4 with the single mom. You
Okay,
said
then
the
I can-
reason for that is because they make a lot less money, but that's not really true.
Then I can backpedal. That's not the only reason. I think that likely it could be one of many reasons.
Okay, what are some other reasons?
That children coming from a single mother household are more likely to be mentally
Oh
ill.
shit!
Let's see. I bet they wonder why their dad's not there.
Wouldn't they wonder why their mom's not there if they were with their dad?
I guess that's a valid point. Let me think a little harder. Let's see. Do you
She's
have
young
an
and cute,
explanation?
but not that smart.
Well, yeah. So essentially, it has to do with
She'll
who
get
you
there.
bring in. So what happens?
She
is
seems to
that
be
single
open to
moms
reason, at
tend to
least.
Bring in step parents far more than single fathers do, far earlier, and they don't work out. Those relationships don't work out, and so the
That's a
rates.
generalization.
Yeah, because
Okay,
saying
but continue.
saying 1 in 4 women suffer from a mental health issue. So there's a mental health crisis. The mental health crisis is a generalization, but it is still true. So in this case, yes, they bring in stepdads and stepparents, and so the children are more likely to deal with some forms of abuse and destabilization, whereas in single father households, it doesn't happen nearly as much. That's why.
Okay, that could be a verifiable reason.
Like in your situation, right? Did you have like step parents?
My dad was the only one who saw women after. My mom did not see a single person.
In
So,
your
there's the
situation?
proof. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's a generalization.
Of course, that can happen. But
And
even,
aren't men more likely to seek out fertile mates than women are?
Yeah.
So
Well, no, it's not that they're more likely to seek out fertile mates. What we were discussing before was signs of what men would find attractive. And the reason I said they find youth attractive is because of fertility. So that's probably one of the reasons they find youth attractive.
okay, but what I'm saying is like, I don't think there's like I don't know. You'd have to pull up a statistic, but is there really a rate at which one sex brings in a step parent more than the other?
Yeah, there is.
It's the women.
Yeah, we can look at the remarriage or the remarriage stats so that we can understand that. And then
That would be inaccurate though if it was just the remarriage stats.
yeah, but I was going to give you more. So
Okay.
you can look at that. That's one metric that you can look at it. There's also polling done as to who have live-in boyfriends, who doesn't. Pew Research has a bunch of this. I don't remember what the polling agencies are.
I wasn't even
everyone
paying
which has,
attention.
covered it. But yes, it is true. At least it's true as we know that women do tend to bring in more step parents.
Can you give me the point difference on those two statistics?
I can't off the
You
top of
don't
my
even have
head.
an estimate, like
A point, you mean a
like
point
10
difference?
10 percentage points, or how much is the
I don't
difference?
know. I don't know what the distinction is, but it's significant. It's a significant distinction.
Okay.
So it's enough for there to be a deviation. So I mean, probably 15%, 20% more, I would guess.
So, how is that the women's fault, though? Because they're trying to find another provider for the home that you think is an important part
Yeah,
of
but
their...
they shouldn't have
you're,
left
you're
their
saying they
original
should grow up in a
provider.
two-parent home. What if the original provider left? And you're saying the
Yeah,
kid
but
should
I'm
grow up
saying
in a
that
two-parent
most
home?
divorces don't happen because the provider left. They happen because the woman initiates a divorce due
Most,
to
but not
irreconcilable.
all. What
Yeah, but
about what are the women who get left going to do then?
If we were just dealing with exceptions, we wouldn't.
We're
have
not
a
dealing
man.
with just exceptions.
But
We're
that's an
dealing with a
exception.
large portion of the.
That's
no.
not a large portion.
No. Men and women are individuals. Stop making it so based on your gender. Only women can break things up. Only women can leave
say
a
that.
relationship. That's not true.
And
Men
that's not
leave
what I said.
all the time. Yeah, but you're saying that it's an exception, which is false. You can't say exception.
is.
It's sometimes one thing happens and sometimes
Okay.
other things happen.
So here's the thing.
When people
you
are
say
incompatible,
sometimes,
it could be
sure.
chosen by
so
either
I'll
side.
rephrase it the best way that I can then. Mostly women are doing this and not men. Mostly women are leaving marriages and not men. Mostly women. At the college level, it's almost all women. Then men are the exception because women are initiating 90% of the time. And then if we break those stats down along religiosity, we might come up with some different numbers. But yes, it's mostly women breaking up the home. And
How
yes,
do you know that's not men's fault?
well, because we can ask these women why the divorce happened, and we can look at court documents for the reasons that
for
they
it.
put
No.
the divorce. And we can
Stupid
run
fucking
different
flame
polls
words.
where we're talking to them, and what we find is the same thing that was pulled up the other night here on whatever. He was a perfect guy. I just got fucking sick of him. I don't like him anymore. There was no abuse. He didn't do anything wrong. I just don't fucking like him.
Is she not
anymore.
entitled to make that choice if she doesn't like her
Well,
husband anymore?
I think that if you put your own self's entitlement above that of your children, in order to have access to their father in a two-parent household, you're setting them up for failure. And that's what we see in the stats. That you should be, if you make the commitment to make children with him, and he's not abusing you, okay, and he's not beating you up, and he's not abandoning you, he's not doing all the bad things, then no, I think you should put your children before your
5
own happiness.
down
I think
books.
you have a duty and obligation to do so.
My bad.
Aren't the children being exposed to the unhappiness of your marriage?
Well, that depends.
Glass cannon.
It completely and totally depends. Aren't your children, though, even if they were
That should
exposed
help.
to the unhappiness of your marriage, if you're looking at the statistics of how much abuse happens external to that, when these divorces happen and the outcomes on children in these single-parent households, wouldn't it still be optimal for them to deal with mom and dad? You know, they don't
Days
always
just
talk to
means
each other,
walk slow, right?
But they're in the same house. They take good care of us. And she prioritized the happiness of us over herself.
I don't think children are that capable.
Yeah, slow.
Not only
sophisticated
that,
line of
but
thinking.
the thing is,
But
I'm
you're
gonna do
putting
this
the
with
onus
him.
of the responsibility on the female, which is just
'Cause they're the ones-
not
Because that's an
correct. What if-
AoE, and
ones
then this is
leaving.
basically an AoE.
that's
but
why.
What if it's because they don't like how the man is treating the children?
What are we doing?
That's not what they're reporting.
You think they're reporting completely accurate every single time?
Not every single time, but accurate enough. Accurate enough for us to get a pretty clear picture on why they're leaving. And they're not leaving because dad's beating up the kids or
In
beating
some
up
cases
her.
they are, and those aren't just
In some
exceptions.
cases,
Those are not
and
just
in
exceptions.
those cases,
They're
I would
huge parts of the
encourage.
statistic.
In those cases, I would encourage those women to leave those men if they're getting beat up or things like that. They should be leaving those men. But if all that was happening is women were leaving abusive men, okay, fine. You wouldn't see this type of mass decadence in society. This would not be the issue. The single mother households are not reporting that they're leaving or filing for these divorces due to anything other than self-fulfillment. Not because of abuse, not because of drugs, and not because he's leaving the home, not even because they're shirking their financial responsibilities a lot of the time. So it's like marriage is work, and yes, you should probably sacrifice your own happiness for the happiness of your children. Yes, I think that a woman has responsibility to do that, and so does a man.
I'd agree, but what are the implications on that argument?
That we would probably end up with much better, more stable nuclear family households, and the reproduction rate would probably skyrocket, and women would probably not have to work nearly as much as they do right now, and probably be way fucking happier and less mentally ill. That's what I would say would probably be the extension of that.
But that's not all because of feminism.
That's all got its roots in feminism, yeah. All
no,
of it.
I'd say a lot of it has its roots in the patriarchy.
Which things?
Do I
Well,
need
first of
these
all,
things? I can't
feminism was
remember if
made
I
to
need
begin
this.
with to counteract the patriarchy.
That was the premise.
So there you go. You could say feminism would have never happened if there was never a patriarchy and we started with an egalitarian society, but that would
I
have
only
been
need
possible
7 of
because we hadn't
these.
invented
So I'm gonna
guns yet,
throw
and
away
men had
these
a
ones.
monopoly
No,
on the
you
use of
can't
force or
have
whatever.
an egalitarian
Right?
society. That's why we went through that whole thing in the beginning, showing you why you can't.
We can't have an egalitarian
I
society.
don't want to.
Can't. Because men
fuck
have
it.
a monopoly on force. That's why we
We
agreed to
disagreed
it.
on that though. Like
No,
I
we
still
really
think
didn't.
that women can have force. I mean,
They can use force to a limited degree, but they cannot enforce. They'll never be the enforcers, and so they're never going to be equal with men. That's not ever going to happen. There's no place on planet Earth where women are like, you know what? Barbara, grab the Uzi. We're gonna enslave these fucking assholes right now. It's never happened. It's never gonna happen. But there has been the case where they've been like, hey, Abdul, grab the AK. And yes, the women have all been enslaved. That has happened.
yes, but I'm saying in today's society, women have more influence on non-physical types of ways through politics and things like
Yeah,
that.
I don't disagree, but ultimately they only have that sway.
Yeah, but
men allow
again,
them to
yeah.
through enforcement. And if men collectively, because they've had this before,
But it's not men
they had it
allowing
in
them to.
Iran. They had it in Iran. They had women's liberation in Iran.
I feel like they just don't understand how, because he's using like allowing. They're like, oh wow, you're not allowing it. Yeah, we are allowing it, just indirectly, right? The fact that men aren't collectively going, let's just enslave these bitches, right? That's an allowance in and of itself. Of course, we would probably like 90% of us would probably never do that, right? That doesn't mean to say it's not an allowance.
Until the Iranian, and they were
I
in
feel like they're
politics,
just
and they had
misunderstanding
sway.
the word
Until the
allowance in how he
Iranians went,
uses
no,
it.
and took all that shit away, and they can't do anything about it. But you can have a revolution inside of a nation by men. That's done all the time. And they're able to take rights or give rights. That's just the way the world works. And one of the blind spots of feminism is, I don't know why, but they can't seem to see that. They can't seem to see that this perpetual egalitarianism is worthless because you can never really achieve it anyway. I don't know why they're striving towards it so
Why
hard.
can't you get as close to it as possible?
Well, you can try to get as close to whatever you want as possible, but these outcomes that we're seeing on your pathway there certainly don't seem great. It doesn't seem like it was a great idea to wreck the nuclear family. That seems like a really fucking bad idea. And they did. It doesn't seem like it's a good idea to try to make men and women compete in the workforce. That seems like a really fucking bad idea. These are not good ideas for society, and they haven't worked out very well.
But it's like most of these are on the basis of your your subjective morality. Like, you think that, like, it's so much worse because those children are coming out mentally ill because they have single mothers? Maybe they're way more able to take on opportunities with confidence or something like that because they are less prone to being submissive because they didn't have a father in the home.
So
they act more masculine.
So more mentally ill kids?
I'm saying that the problems that you have with feminism it's because we're getting farther from the patriarchy, right?
Yeah, and it's leading to really bad outcomes for everybody, including the women.
So during the patriarchy, it must have been really good. Like during the big part of the patriarchy, like way back when.
It's been pretty good for most women. Yeah, it's been pretty good.
So
it's been really hard on men, but it's been pretty good for women. Almost every place you look for the equalization between the two, men have had it basically way rougher than women.
Was that not their own choice? If they're the enforcers, they could have made it so that the
turned
women
my brain
are the
off too
ones who
much.
have to
I didn't even notice
fight it.
They did not allow women to participate in the political process, and thus protected women and utilized women for what their role was, which was to take care of children.
Who said that was their role? God?
The necessity of what is enforcement. So they can't enforce. They could not drive the wolves away at night. Literal wolves. You know, there used to actually be real wolves that would kill people at night in the countryside. Not a joke.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, you might think that this is, tongue-in-cheek, but the world was a much more dangerous place. And women relied on men. Men did not rely on them for protection, and they still have to. They just don't realize that they have to yet.
Well, now that we live in a society that has institutions that have power because people have given them power.
No, you mean like kings? You mean like the church? You mean like the millions of institutions?
They didn't guarantee rights the same way that our institutions do now.
Your institutions do not guarantee rights.
Yes, they do.
Your rights don't even exist. And if a king, you say a king can't guarantee
if they can be enforced, then they exist.
Okay, well then, if that's the case, then you had tons of rights under kings.
Okay, that's not what I meant. But what was the original point that I was making?
The original point that we were making was about the nuclear family and how you want to see more mentally ill children because that means that they can take on more responsibility.
I didn't necessarily say that, but not a bad take on my part from you rephrasing my argument. I mean, what's wrong with overcoming mental illness? I mean, I think that could help a person have a lot of empathy for other people.
So, if it is the case that you say, what's wrong with having to surmount a challenge? Would you say that to an SA victim? What's wrong with being SA'd? After all, it could actually make you a much better person that you overcame the fact that you were SA'd. Does that make sense to you?
She's way too young to be having this debate, dude. She's so far out of her depth.
You would not say that to them.
But it's not the same thing.
Okay.
Oh, it's exactly the same thing.
That it could make you a better person that you have a mental illness and you're able to overcome or deal with it.
Because when you reduce it down to her argument was, because they had adversity, they got stronger by it. Well, exactly the same thing. Well, your SA was adversity. Did you get stronger by it? Yeah, okay, well, then it was a good thing, no? Like, what the fuck, bro? No? Right? This is what I mean, right? It's like they've thought about this thing for like 2 seconds. But they should really think about it for like 5 seconds before they open their mouths. That was a crazy thing to say. Holy shit.
So, should she have aborted the kid then? So it wouldn't have to be born with mental illness?
How would you ever make that determination?
Yeah, that's not something you can test for.
1 in 4. That's more than just an exception.
Not born with. They didn't say they're born with mental illness.
But they're gonna develop it based on their
Yeah, but there's
familial
no way to
circumstances, according to
determine that.
you.
There's no way to
Oh,
determine.
exactly. There's no way to determine where the mental illness came
No,
from.
no, no.
Would you
There's
look
no
at
way to
that? So it could have been
determine
genetic.
which children
it could
will
have been
have
from
it.
anything,
No.
any other factors besides.
So
that.
dumb. There's no way to determine
carry
which
anymore.
children will have it. So not all children from single
Inventory
parents
is full.
develop mental illness. Not all of them do. So it's it's impossible to determine which ones will. That's my point. Not that there still won't be 1 in 4 children with mental illness, just that you will not be able to make the determination which ones are. How could you ever do that? I couldn't even think of how that would even be possible.
Okay, you can, but okay. So here's what we've gotten so far.
The nuclear
The
family's bad.
feminists have destroyed the nuclear family, and that's causing all the children to be mentally ill.
No, that has caused the workforce to require a two-worker household. That has taken children out of, or mothers out of the home to raise their children. That has caused a massive spike in divorces. The list kind of goes on and on. I listed a ton of things which feminism is the root cause of, and feminism has.
What is the root cause of feminism?
Occultism.
Patriarchy.
Occultism.
Patriarchy.
Occultism.
Feminism would have never. You admitted earlier that feminism would not have existed if not to reverse the patriarchy, and you just said that
no.
feminism is the root cause of all of these
me go back to
issues
my first note I'll
because
show
we're
you.
trying too hard to reverse the oppression that you've put onto us.
So my first note was asking you: is not an entailment of feminism going to be, if it is to resist the patriarchy, that there is a patriarchy? Answer is yes. So I'm just looking at your entailment. But patriarchy is not what caused feminism. Occultism is what caused feminism. Occultism from the
Patriarchy,
Protestant Church specifically.
The existence of patriarchy allowed the conditions for feminism to exist.
Okay.
If society had been more egalitarian from the start, I'm not saying completely egalitarian, but if society had been more egalitarian from the start, where each individual was already able to choose, do I want to take care of the kids or do I want to work? Let me go find a mate who's the opposite. Not based on the gender, but just based on individual, like, their
The hilarious part of all this is that the reason why it took so long for women to get the vote is because women were against it, right? That's so funny to me, dude. Rich industrialists prop that up because now they were like, oh shit, more people in the workforce. Yes, please, right? And it's had its good sides, it's had its downsides, definitely. But I feel like they never bring that up. The fact that the reason why it took so long for women to get the vote is because a lot of women were massively against it.
their inclinations in life, then I don't
In
think
America,
women
I don't know
would
how
be
it is,
as
how it was in Europe.
Yeah, but you're
hateful of men.
that's really funny that you bring this up. You're saying that feminism.
Lath donated $200. It really is crazy how privilege is invisible to people who have it. She has no idea how dangerous environment was long time now. Even now, no one is going to provide her security other than men.
That's correct.
Thank
Long
you, Lath.
time
That's going to
now.
be true. But
Continue on.
anyway, what you're saying is this. This is actually your argument. I'll give it back to you. You're saying patriarchy didn't exist, then women would not have to fight for the fucked up conditions that we find ourselves in after they resisted the patriarchy. Brilliant argument. Genius. Love it.
No,
but
I
that's your
said
argument.
women wouldn't have to fight the fucked up circumstances that the patriarchy put them in.
And they started with more egalitarianism, right? And don't we have more egalitarianism now than we did under the patriarchy? And we find ourselves in these fucked up conditions, which means if we had egalitarianism then, those
were-
would have been worse than the patriarchy
We were
because it
in
is now.
fucked up conditions before too.
What?
It's just
What were
different
the fucked
ways.
up conditions?
Well, I mean, women were just all tied down to one outcome, and they couldn't vote.
No, they weren't
Personally,
tied
I
down
would-
to one
I would
outcome.
love my daughters to be able to do whatever the fuck they want.
So let me ask you this. If we could guarantee, let's just say we could guarantee that children would end up with way better outcomes in society, we could guarantee it, right? If parents stayed together, or even better, let's phrase it this way. We could guarantee that children will have better outcomes in society if women don't have the right to vote. Would you take away the right of women to vote then?
No.
No. If we could guarantee that the outcomes for mental illness would greatly reduce if you took away the right to women to vote, would you would you take away the right for women to vote?
No.
If you could guarantee that women would be far more secure and actually much, much, much happier if you took away their right to vote, would you take away the right to vote?
That would never happen.
If you could guarantee that they would be happier if they could not vote, would you take away the right to vote?
That would never happen.
No, answer my question.
It's a hypothetical.
That I don't believe it would ever happen.
Okay, if you thought that if the case could be made that their happiness would greatly increase because their mental illness decreases if you took away their right to vote, would you do that?
It's not about happiness. You're doing the hedonist thing on me. In this case, it's about individual choice and values, not hedonism.
But hedonism is the outcome.
I'm saying you're...
So what I'm asking you ultimately is this. I'll condense it. Would you take away women's rights to vote if it led to, generally speaking, better societal outcomes?
That's not what would happen. And
But if it were to happen, that just generally societal outcomes got better, would you take away the right to vote?
I wouldn't.
You wouldn't, I know. And so this is the distinction between our moral systems, is that I believe that you live in contradiction, and that the right to vote, this right that you perceive, or the 19th Amendment, this type of thing, that even if we could guarantee that the outcomes were better if it was gone, you would still insist that it was there. And I think that that's the case with abortion. I think that that's the case with probably most of your beliefs, because that's feminist beliefs. Like, for instance, if we could guarantee that women would get far less venereal diseases and would have far less problems in society if we could criminalize premarital sex, would you do it?
I wasn't listening to your question, but one of those is an ideology.
I'm not going to debate with you.
Okay, repeat then. I'm sorry. Well, it's because I was thinking of what I was going to say next. My fault for being a slow woman. You can repeat your question if you'd like.
I'll repeat the question, and I'll make it even simpler. What I'm saying to you is if we could make a law which curtailed female promiscuity, meaning it was criminal for both men and women to have premarital sex, and that led to better outcomes for society, would you do it?
No.
No. So, I mean, ultimately, for you, the hedonism and pure selfism is the most important value, not individualism.
It's an emphasis on empathy and individual human rights.
That's not empathy.
Yes, it is. It's empathy for the individual, because your ideology is not based on empathy. It's based purely on subjectivism through the Bible and religious
I haven't offered a
truths.
single biblical argument. I'm just purely operating off of hedonism.
All of your arguments
I'm
are
literally
biblical.
going off of this. The worldview is utilitarianism. Utilitarianism being harm. This comes from Mill, who says that harm is a physicality which exists inside of the norms of politics. Individualism, enlightenment. I'm going off of your worldview, which I wrote down and repeating back. Have not
I
made
said at the beginning before
a
I told you
single
everything that I
biblical
could not
argument.
fully describe my worldview with just random ideological things, and you are already putting me in a box from that point. I can just believe what I believe without having to classify it.
That's true. You can, right? But ultimately, it's incoherent and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And when you say, well, wait, you're coming at me with a biblical worldview. No, I'm just giving you back your own worldview. I'm literally I just ran an entire internal critique showing you that ultimately, if we reduce all of these issues to outcomes for society, you would still not curtail behaviors like promiscuity, divorce. You wouldn't curtail any of these things, even if it led to better outcomes for children.
Because
which
that's
is
like
not
eugenics, basically.
That is not utilitarianism.
Isn't this like okay, I see. Well, you're right, then.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm good. Brian?
I got some more stuff. Actually, something that just came from the questions that you were asking her. So Andrew, you asked her if outcomes were to be better for women if they couldn't vote. Your answer was
Inventory is full.
The answer was she wouldn't take them away.
I would still allow them the right to vote.
right. Even if under women not being able to vote, the outcomes would be better, you still wouldn't opt for that.
It's the same argument as don't you
No, just
believe
answer-
people have like free choice.
No, but
even if they can choose the wrong outcomes, people should be able to choose their own life path.
I don't believe in free choice, believe in free will.
Okay, then yeah.
Free will
But-
is not choice.
So my question is though, and you said no, you would not do that, even though it would lead to better outcomes for women, correct?
Yes.
If it led to better outcomes for women, for men to not be able to vote, would you be in favor of that?
No.
Okay, that's fair.
No, I figured she'd be consistent with
Okay, got it. We have a couple chats. Why don't we read those?
Okay.
So we have GR Gracie. By the way, guys, get your chats in if you'd like. We're going to go for a little bit longer. Young lady, stop being so stubborn. You're entering prime baby-making age. Find a good man, start having kids, and experience your best life. Seriously, dying barren is a wasted life. Do you want to respond to GR Gracie?
That's a bit much.
What if I'm infertile? Then what am I supposed to seek out? Adoption? Yeah.
Are you?
Okay.
Or wait.
But I'm just curious, like,
or a widowed man, or any number of different ways that you would end up in a mother role.
Okay. Thank you, GR Gracie, for that. Appreciate it. I'm going to pull up the soup chats now. We have Steven Carrera. Thank you, man. Appreciate the soup chat. Get a refund from your college. You're getting real education with Andrew and not from Bolshevik, infiltrate indoctrination daycare centers, college. Okay. If women do not produce Christian children, well, I hope you feminists like Sharia law. Okay. Thank you.
isn't Sharia law closer to the religious state that you guys might want?
I don't want a religious state. I want-
Okay, the synergistic religious.
You mean economia?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So, like, if a Christian politician, if they vote and they're inside of their head, their morals are guided by their Christianity, right? Is that still a division of church and state?
Bro,
Yes,
Too
because
many
they're
people here,
representing
shit.
Christians who are part of their constituency.
Gotcha. So if we have mostly a Christian constituency and Christians go in and start making laws, right? Like
It would have to be done through a democratic process.
yeah, even if it was done through a democratic process, nobody's saying it couldn't be. Right?
Jesus,
But you
there's
can
like,
have a
what the
democracy
fuck?
and still have economy
What
with
the
a
hell?
church. You can have a king and have economy with a church. Christianity and Christian ethics can exist in any type of government. Even communism, it can exist as long as the communists don't wipe them out.
Your Bible is just as intangible as the rights that our current government is founded on, except one of them expresses itself as an object of morality, complete morality, because of the good outcomes it creates in society for women and children, and whereas the other one is just individual rights, right?
No, I don't think that's the case. So, I mean, forgive me if I'm not following this correctly, but you're saying that biblical values are just as subjective as
Rights.
as your rights and preferences?
Yeah.
Well, that can't really be true, even from a subjective angle, because if you say you're a Christian, then you have to adhere to Christian ethics. Or
False.
I'm out of
No, then you
range.
can't be a Christian.
Isn't it just that you got to be saved? You got to believe in God dying
Let me
on
ask
the
you a
cross.
question. If you're born in Mexico and you live in Mexico, are you an American?
Obviously, the question of citizenship is not the same as religious
Because there's a
affiliation.
specific criteria, right? So you can't just calling yourself an American wouldn't make you one.
Anyone
America.
who believes in God is considered.
I
Okay,
can't
it depends
carry
what
anymore.
sect you follow.
No, everything has specific criteria. Christianity, faith in Christ,
And all of
follows
them-
Christian ethics. They have
All
to.
of them are subjective, and they're all written down and made up by different
but
men.
if there is specific criteria for Christianity, then you would have to follow specific ethical frameworks within Christianity. From a secular framework of preference, you're actually telling everybody to follow whatever set of ethics they so choose. That's
Isn't
the
that better than
distinction.
telling everyone to just follow the one that you ascribe to?
No, it's way worse, especially for society. Do you want people to arbitrarily decide whether or not they can murder based on their preferences?
So if everyone in America ascribed to Hinduism, you just have a great time tomorrow with our new Hindu democratically elected
No, but
government?
it would still be a more moral society than if everybody was secularist who followed their own whims and preferences.
Far away. That
So
spell
that's
isn't
just
very
where
get
we
it? I got
fundamentally
it.
disagree. I believe you can have morality in secularism.
sorry.
and it's fundamentally impossible to be secular and moral.
How can you say that preferences are what is moral, your own individual preference, and nothing but your individual preference, and then say his could be wrong about anything? How can you do that?
Well, I'm not saying the individual preference of each individual person is moral. I'm saying what the moral thing to do is allow everyone to have their own individual preferences.
Then how can anybody justify that anybody else's morality is incorrect if
Harm
everybody's
principle.
Okay, but that's a subjective preference again.
Harm principle is not a subjective preference.
Listen, why should we follow the harm principle?
Because it actually causes physical harm at that point.
Yeah, but that's not telling us why we should follow it. I know it does cause harm, but why ought we not cause harm?
Because you're infringing on someone else's ability to exercise
And why
their
should we
individual
value
rights
that?
every day. Because, like I said from the beginning, it's about individuality. You have empathy. You treat what's the golden rule? Treat every other person
That
as
would
you
be
have
the
yourself.
yeah.
That
Or you
can
could
be
say that's a
moral.
categorical imperative, but all of this will reduce if I keep
Yeah,
going
Kant's
with you.
categorical imperative. Thank
If I
you.
keep
You
on,
reminded me.
if I keep on moving down the goal here, it's going to reduce to relativism. Why should we follow that? Why should we follow this? Why should we follow that? Eventually, it's going to get down to because you would prefer that I do. Right? There's really no other way around that.
So it's either religion or moral relativism.
That's right.
Okay, then anyone
if
who's
it's
not
moral-
religious, you're a moral relativist. Congrats.
Yeah, well, but they all know that. They all know that they're moral relativists.
Oh,
Like, none of them are
I didn't.
confused.
Did I do that right? I'm not sure if that's a
Now you
thing.
know. Yeah, it's basically
I
all
turned
these
around for the
reduces-
crystal gaze,
There
right?
could be some-
So it doesn't.
I mean,
so you don't
some
look at it.
arguments, I think, which can be made against it, but basically all of it reduces to
Or am I just
relativism
like
and
making
preference.
shit
So
up
if it
because of
does,
Medusa stuff?
and it's all just based on your preferences.
Don't look at
just
it.
things you prefer. Then you can never justify why this guy's preferences and that guy's preferences are no better than your own.
You can justify it based on the categorical imperative. Are
That
you
would
using
be
other people or
deontology.
oppressing other people for your own
You just said
personal
you're
gain?
utilitarian, the categorical imperative, that's Kantianism, that's deontology, they're in opposition to each other.
I wrote my college application essay on Kant.
Then how
so
did you
he's
not
probably
know
my
that
fave.
Kant is literally the opposite of Bentham and Mill? Opposite, 100%. The deontology is direct opposition to utilitarianism. One is consequentialism, one's universalism. So, like, I don't know. Yeah, they're not even.
Well,
in the
I
same
was just
universe.
saying we already showed that I'm not actually utilitarian.
Yeah, and
You
plus-
fucked me up from the beginning because you asked me to classify myself and I don't know what I am.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
All right, we have another chat here from Brian Jones. Hey, Brian Jones, thank you very much, man. Appreciate the soup chat. Ladies and gentlemen, it is soy. Half the things we eat are made out of it. It makes men more feminine and women blank, blank, blank. Okay, Brian Johnson. Excuse me,
He's
Brian
talking about
Jones.
literal
It's a pretty good
soy,
grift,
yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Like-
literal
it's in
soy.
fucking everything.
$100
All
and
right,
then
thank
just
you, Brian. Appreciate
some
that.
rando
Your last
commented
minute chat,
nothing,
thank you
no
for
bearing
having
on
me.
anything.
Let me just double check here.
Not
we
bad.
do have a Streamlabs message.
You
Passive
fucking
Gamer.
piece of garbage.
Ironic bringing up eugenics
Typical
when it
night
was and
elf.
has been a tenet of progressivism
Typical
in the
night
U.S.
elf.
Margaret Sanger, etc.
Shifty and
Word?
I'm not his,
Shifty and
her
dreamy.
name sounds familiar, but
He was the person who founded Planned Parenthood.
oh my god, wow, I look awful now. Yeah, but interesting. I wasn't. Never mind, nothing to say. Continue.
I had one
Intents.
question.
I don't know
Earlier in
what
the
the
conversation,
intents
you mentioned
are.
something about hedonism, and I don't want to misquote you. You said something along the lines of
Apparently illiterate
people
as
should
well.
be able to do whatever they want and pursue like the maximum degree or amount of happiness or
As
pleasure.
long as it doesn't break the categorical imperative, meaning they're not hurting other people in the process of doing
Okay.
so.
So, but that's your kind of guiding philosophy.
Not exactly. I'd say hedonism is more of like a personal philosophy for me. And I think that's
Well, how does
typically
that-
in the that's how it's talked about in most contexts. I was just saying I think people should be allowed to be hedonistic if they want to be. The government shouldn't be saying you shouldn't be hedonistic. You should be moral and stay home and take care of your kids. Like
Well,
the
but if-
government's not the one who should be saying
But
that.
if the government says, or if you're saying the government shouldn't do something, right, they ought not do that, then you're saying that the government shouldn't follow its preferences. Whose preferences should it follow?
The people's,
And whose preferences should they follow?
their own.
Then everybody's individualistic preferences are just as valid as anybody else's.
Okay.
Just
Never
saying.
said they weren't.
And so when it comes to the hedonism, you said that's your own personal.
Not completely. I was just
But-
throwing some words in there. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, I mean, how does that manifest for you?
Hedonism? I
terms of your
I
hedonism.
was trying to use that more in the context of like, he was saying that it would be completely evil of a woman to say like, my husband makes me unhappy, and you know, I'd rather just go live with my kids alone in fucking Alaska. And I'm saying that people should be able to do that and be hedonistic and chase their desires, and they shouldn't be like,
At the expense of your children.
it's not always at the expense of the child.
But
Maybe
often
the
it
child
is.
would have a better life not
But
listening to
I
mom
was
and
talking
dad
about
yell at
a
each other all day long.
specific use of at the expense of the children, prioritizing her happiness over the expense of the children. Like, hey, you left that part out, but that's what I actually said.
The
is-
children can prioritize their own happiness when they get older.
Oh, no way! You just said that. The children can prioritize their own happiness when they fuck those kids, little bastards. Now you know why 1 in 4 of them have mental illness, because they need to prioritize their happiness when they get older.
I see myself as one of those children who come from a broken home, and I'd like to be able to prioritize my own happiness regardless of the circumstances. that
Even over your own
came
children.
from. In the future, if I had to divorce okay, I don't want to get divorced. I definitely don't, and obviously.
But if you were going to be happier divorced, even if it was at the expense of your children,
Obviously, I'm not going to live every day in misery, but I would have to weigh the values at that time, especially considering what the reason was for the divorce. And
you were unhappy. You wanted to fuck John down the street because John looked really good and had a nicer car.
I wouldn't do that. Okay, there's a difference between hedonism and doing what you want. I don't mean like
I agree with that.
I don't mean like every single thought that you think of. I'm saying you should be able to
So are women
act
who
based on your pleasure
so are women
rather than
who
moral
prioritize
rules.
their happiness. They don't actually step out on their husband, but they want John. They want John down the street. They're not going to step out. So they go to their husband and they say, "Listen, I am miserable in this marriage, and I want this guy, this other guy who's not you, and that's going to maximize my happiness." They leave their husband and break up their family so that they can go pursue John.
You're neglecting to weigh how much happiness it brings them to have their like children happy and together with the family too, because women do have to weigh that when they're thinking about whether or not they're going to divorce.
Yeah, but
I know
is she
plenty
doing something wrong by doing that? Is my question.
Is she doing something wrong by doing that?
It's getting busy.
I mean, it's not right, and I wouldn't.
So is it
I wouldn't
wrong?
want her to do
Is
it,
wrong? She should not
But
be able to do it.
it should be legal.
It should be legal. So yeah. So I mean, ultimately, like, fuck the kids, right? It's not really wrong.
Yeah, but how the fuck are you gonna enforce a law that's like,
You add fault to divorces so that there's penalties, so that you can't go to your husband and say, "I want to go fuck the neighbor."
that's you
So-
just
so
you just
then-
gave me
so
an
there's no
exception.
penalty.
You just gave me a huge exception. Like it could have been based on any other number of factors besides wanting to go fuck the neighbor.
Yeah, and all those factors can be taken into consideration for a penalty or an at-fault divorce instead of a no-fault divorce. Who's at fault for the divorce? So if you decide to prioritize your happiness over your family, you don't get to walk away and get the kids and get the car and get the house and get the money. Fuck that.
They do that in divorce court anyways, basically.
Yeah, but that's because it's a no-fault divorce. You don't have to show any cause for why you want the divorce. And if you had to, then you could determine who's at fault, and then you can split assets correctly because we know who fucked the marriage up. You went out and fucked John down the road or whatever, right? Same thing with the husband. That's a much better system.
Okay. I recognize everything you're talking about is like bad for the kids, but I still don't understand why you would want to bring the law into it, especially if there's people out there who like, I don't know, might not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the law is involved in it.
Who
either
might
way.
not even like think that the nuclear family is important at all. Like,
Yeah, that's true, but that's really, again, when it comes to what is optimal for children, if you are intentionally raising your kids outside of a nuclear family as like some kind of FU to society, then you're immediately doing something which is you should probably think twice about, right? So if this happens all the time, essentially it's single mom regret, right? They'll go and they'll get knocked up because they really, really want to have a kid. And then they go, fuck, I really didn't think this through because kid wants dad. Kid wants a dad. There are women who get. Now, this isn't well-studied phenomenon at all, right? I'm just bringing it up to kind of make an example. But there are people who go and they impregnate women as a job. They actually will go. They'll show up to their
Surrogate
house.
fathers, right?
Nope.
Kind
They're
of?
not surrogate fathers.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they are. But what they do is they'll post an ad on Craigslist saying, I will impregnate whoever. And they show up to their house and they get these women pregnant. Sometimes it's with couples. Sometimes it's not. But they did track one guy. And I read this article not too long ago. They tracked this guy. He had impregnated like 800 women. Okay? Tons. I mean, he had tons of kids out there. And they went and met up with some of these moms. And some of them were like, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that because I really wanted to have a baby, but you didn't think about the ramifications.
Neil Trump donated $200. I can't wait to see Andrew's wife on the podcast. She did a great job hosting the watch party yesterday, and I can't believe Brian tried to get the most conservative Republican chicken and rice WTF.
Yeah, what the fuck was that? That was personally offensive, that one. The chicken and rice. He's never offended me before. That was
You
it.
seemed
the
a little
chicken and
upset
rice?
by it.
What happened?
Just the previous stream. We were door dashing some food, and it was like pizza burgers.
And you got him chicken and rice?
No, I I got him a burger.
No, I got a
but
big ass cheeseburger.
we got a big old cheeseburger. Real Trump. Appreciate the message. I have another chat here that I'm gonna pull up. We have Ta donated 100. Hey, thank you, man. I don't know what I am.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Me neither, bro.
That was the joke.
That was also a joke.
And that was my joke about your joke about that joke.
Well, meta.
Yeah.
Well, that's meta to the meta.
Last two things here that I have notes for. I believe on the show, the dating talk that you were on, you had said something about you wishing you weren't born.
That's something.
Was that a joke?
That's
or?
something that I very quickly backpedaled on.
Oh, okay.
I think it was definitely misconstrued. I didn't mean it as like, because you guys had a valid argument there. If I did mean that, then I basically was saying that I would have killed myself already. But the argument.
No saying that word.
Okay, sorry about that.
Unalived.
I would have
Deleted.
would have
Self-deletion.
Deleted, yeah.
yoinked myself off the planet. But
Yoinked.
Yeeted.
Yeeted
She
myself
yeeted
off the
herself
planet.
off. Yeah.
But the point that I was trying to make was he's already mentioned so many times, children of families that are not traditional or have really rough circumstances for the child. Sometimes it can be the mom can know before they give birth that they're gonna give birth to a child in awful circumstances with no father or not enough money to take care of them. Why would they put a child in that circumstance? That's basically what I was saying.
Okay. I'm going to actually read this one just because it's a nice one. Ben George, thanks for having a cordial debate. Give her props for willing to be here. Let's hope she realizes she needs to prioritize her child's needs over happiness, and she does it for herself.
Well, there's great hope. She's still a damn kid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Ben. Appreciate it. Let me just double check everything over here. I guess just final question on the feminism topic. So what rights, because, feminists are fighting for women's rights, right? So what rights do men have that women don't?
Legally, none,
None.
Okay.
I think.
So then what the hell you need feminism for?
Check.
Like I said, it's about the ideas, not the laws. It's about the fact that if I decided to work while also caring for my children, I would be called a bad mother prioritizing my happiness over my child. But if a man chooses to be more nurturing towards his child, he's not considered a bad father for not going out and making more money instead. It's like men are allowed to love and take care of their children and be good fathers while also working, but women can only be one or the other.
No, that's been completely untrue. It's a totally untrue bifurcation. I don't know where you came up with this idea. Bad mothers are bad mothers, bad fathers are bad fathers. So there can be men who are, I don't know, I guess you could say, far more paternal than men who are not, who are far worse fathers than men who work all the time. And there's men who work all the time who are far
Jesus.
worse fathers
Took the
than
race
men who
bomb.
are highly paternal. That's really not a good qualifier for that. Just like there's women who stay at home with their kids who are terrible mothers, and there's women who work who are good mothers. But all we're doing is we're trying to associate what we would like to see as a society. Same thing with egalitarianism. You want all of society to move towards equality. I want all of society to move to a different outcome, which is towards a stable outcome inside of society, which would include a patriarchal system, which enables women to be able to stay home with their children. Because that sounds fucking awesome.
It doesn't enable them, it forces them.
It doesn't force them. How are they being forced? What have I said here which would allude to force?
Because they're not allowed to work and they have to stay at home
No,
and take
they're
care
allowed
of the
to work.
children. You just said
They're allowed to
they're
work,
going to
but
send
what
their
you're
kids off
trying
to
to
public school
do-
daycare.
Yeah, what you're trying to do is push society towards women moving out of the workforce, which means don't go to college and get a degree. It's a waste of your fucking time. Start a family instead. And the government can even create incentives to have you start a
That's
family.
impossible in the current state of society, though. What you just said.
No, it's not. Incentives for...
If I didn't go to college, I would be working at a fast food restaurant for the rest of my life.
No, you could get married and have children.
I could drop ship, okay? But
No,
like,
you could get married and have children and even have a home business. What do you mean?
Okay, but I mean...
Oh,
like,
fuck.
What I'm saying is, like,
Shit.
let's say a woman is coming out of,
Complete
like,
weave.
poverty, and there's no guarantee that men are going to provide for her because, you know, there's so much feminism out there and men who don't want to
okay, I
pay
guess
for
it doesn't
women
work
anymore.
if I turn my
How
back.
is she supposed to guarantee her own financial security?
Well, this is the problem, right? You're moving back to a prioritization of you.
Carry anymore.
And you should...
You kind of need money to live.
You do need money to live, that's true, but what used to happen is women would stay at home with their parents as they would look for suitors who would marry them.
What if they hated their parents or their parents were
Well,
abusive? They just had to deal with
But
it.
we don't
then.
want to move society into all exceptions, but that would happen, and what would happen is they would move in with their aunts, their uncles, their extended families, and these things were a lot closer together, and they had a much better community because there was a lot more of them in these cramped-in areas, which is a good thing. I would like to get back to that, to
If
a
women
nuclear
have it
family
so much
system.
better in that patriarchal society, then why wouldn't you want to be
I
a
can't
woman
carry
in that?
anymore.
You want to be a man in that society?
How could I be a woman in it?
Okay, I'm saying theoretically.
Theoretically, I wouldn't want to be a woman, but that's because my ontology I can't really understand what that would even entail. So I could never actually understand like sex
It's
and
too far
attraction to men and things like that.
Got 'em.
I can't fathom those things, but I'm not supposed to be able to. That's outside of my purview. I can understand to a degree, you know what I mean? Like I can rationalize it and I can logically walk through it, but I don't really understand.
But I'm saying in the context of you're saying women have it so much better and safer in this patriarchal society. Wouldn't
it's way
you want to
better to
be?
be- it's way
Wouldn't
better
you
to
want
be
to
a
be a
woman.
woman in that society?
Like if I had to be born, logically,
Yeah.
I'd say yeah, it would be way better
you
to
would
be a
want to
woman.
be born a woman.
It would be way better to be a woman.
You would not be
inside.
talking to me on this podcast
It would be
right now.
way better to be a woman inside of a patriarchal society like what we had even just 100 years ago, leading into just 80 years
So
ago.
you just want to stay at home every day and cook? That's
So
what you want?
What a rough life. Fucking bastard patriarchist men making us stay at home with our kids, cook, and have an enjoyable life. Those
Do you
sons
think
of bitches.
unemployed people are happy? I mean,
Yeah. Do you think that all those people got to stay home during the lockdowns for like, I really wish I could go to work today instead of sitting on my ass at home and getting a huge paycheck? Fuck
I
no.
can't
They
carry
loved that
anymore.
shit.
People
And
gain-
people stayed home with their kids, especially the ones that stayed home with their kids. They stayed with homeschooling. Homeschooling shot up through the roof because they realized how much superior that system was when they were allowed to do it than the system that they were indoctrinated into.
do people not get gratification from their work?
Of course they do.
Isn't it a part of who they are? What identity would
can
they
be,
have
sure.
besides I'm woman, I cook clean, I'm same as all other women? Versus you can say I want to be an astronaut, I want to be
Well, this
a political debater, I want to be a podcast.
I want to point out, she looks like she's 18 or so. Like, she doesn't really know what work is yet. Like, it seems that way, right? Like, what is this? Don't you love work? No, right? I love surviving, right? Like, you know?
This
host.
assumes anything could ever possibly be more important than being a mother. Could you think of anything more important than that job?
I mean, the president of the United States probably.
The president of the United States is there to protect what?
The nation. I don't know. I'm saying
Mothers, right? And fathers. So I can't think of a more important job for a woman, an individual woman, than being a mother.
what about being a father for an individual man? Why
Oh,
isn't
I got
that
it
his
straight
most
off the bat?
important job?
It is an important job.
Perfect.
No, obviously him going out and making money is more important than him being a father.
Because he's enabling the mother, who has the most important job ever, which is being the mother. Only she can be that, to stay home with the kids. A great privilege for her to be able to do that, stay home with her own kids.
You don't get to decide whether or not that was a great privilege for her.
I'm not deciding that whether or not it was a great privilege for this particular woman specifically. I'm just saying that the fact that that can even be done in modernity, I don't see how you can see it as anything other than a privilege for a woman to be able to do that.
So if we could live in a communist society where no one had to work and we could all live under like a government or a billionaire as the patriarchy, wouldn't you want that? Aren't you saying you're against like productivity in
found one.
society?
Communism
I found
is
like
the move towards a
multiple.
stateless society. Communism has the same impossibility. By the way, communists were the original feminists, just so you know. But
I am aware actually.
yeah, but just so you know, communism suffers from the same hole in its logic as feminism, which is enforcement. Communism is the move towards a stateless society.
You do.
Who's going to enforce it? Yeah, I know, but I wasn't making an argument.
So I couldn't.
I was not making an argument
But your
for communism.
argument's not logically possible, so I can't even respond to the hypothetical. It's not even logically possible.
What did I ask you again?
You asked me if you could live in a communist utopia where nobody had to work and, you know, everybody was just paid equally. I could, I guess, engage and say, sure, I'd love that if such a thing was possible, but I don't even think it's actually logically possible because of the lack of enforcement. So I don't even think that that's a valid hypothetical because it's just illogical. It's not even possible.
Okay.
It's like there's some hypotheticals which are not logically possible, so they can be rejected.
Okay. What I meant though on a broader scale was this seems to be a very anti-capitalist mentality to have half the
I don't give a
workforce
fuck
out
about capitalism.
of the workforce.
It's not important to me.
Oh.
But neither is socialism. That's worse. And what you end up with pure capitalism is crony capitalism. We have a great tradition in the United States and globally, especially in Europe, of mercantilism. And that's phenomenal. That's a fantastic system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
merchants being able to freely trade, barter, and you know, I understand having a currency like we have now, but yeah, I think it's mercantilism will always exist. It exists right now, but capitalism has become crony. I mean, crony capitalism is capitalism basically now. So, yeah, not a big fan of how capitalism currently exists,
Oh.
but it's still a better
Glad we
system
agree.
than socialism and communism.
Well, one's a mixed economy. I have a type of socialism, and then there's like the socialist communist.
No,
type of-
socialism, in its actual form, is that the state has control of all industry, and communism is a stateless society. So socialism is stage one. All industry and private industry is owned by the state, and then stage
But
two.
hadn't you told me on the last podcast that you would also consider before the abolishment of the system that it would still be socialism if it's a mixed economy? You said that I was a socialist on the basis that I believed on a mixed economy.
But that's because the mixing that you want in the economy is the state to own the means of production. That's the problem. So like healthcare, for instance, that's the state owning the means of production.
Yeah, but you just posited that it would be all of the means of production.
That's the end result.
I was saying there should only be some.
But socialists are going to start by socializing whatever industries that they can before they socialize the other industries. So,
But then I wouldn't be a socialist, I would be a social democrat.
well, no, you'd be a socialist because you'd want to see all industry socialized.
No, when did I say that? I had told you that I wanted to see some industries socialized, like healthcare.
You don't want
and
to
then
see
you said
all
I was a
industry
socialist.
socialized?
I told you I believed in a mixed economy.
I'm gonna visit
Mixed
Stormwind,
out.
dude.
As in,
I
there's
gotta get
still
this shit out of my
capitalist facets
inventory.
of the economy.
Like which ones? What kind?
Okay, well.
Plus level up the mining so I can actually get
I
some
honestly
tin.
wouldn't even want to get
Okay.
into it because I don't even know what I'd say.
That's fair.
Okay.
We have one chat here from IDK, how to play. Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate it. I don't know what XTians? I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is?
Christians, bro.
XTians?
Citizen?
Oh, maybe.
Christians, oh my fucking god, what the fuck? The next words are really literally must follow the Bible. Hello, context clues.
Vaxians must follow the Bible. Andrew believes in slavery. Atheists have morals. We live in societies and determine a consensus. Xtians believe in fiction.
Oh my God, these people are.
Okay, Christians believe
Thank
in
God.
fiction. Good people don't need God to
They
give them
figured it out.
rules.
How do you know they're good?
I was losing my mind.
What makes a person good?
They're not.
Don't
even
explorers.
people.
How do you, why is that good?
I'm flying back to
You
Silver. Fuck
literally
it.
said it yourself. The categorical imperative.
The categorical imperative was.
What's the
me
price of
pointing
one of
out
these teleport
what
stones?
that meant. Not that I followed it. I don't follow Kantian
Okay.
ethics.
Okay.
It's
Treating
6:30.
people as means.
And I have to fly
rather
back.
than ends.
That's another Kantian principle.
Yeah, that's the cat. That's still the same one.
Yeah, but the question still
Or is
is
it-
what makes it good, though? What makes it good? What's the justification of what is good and what is not?
Rune,
good?
I'm gonna check this. I'm gonna look this
What
up.
makes
Rune
something
of
good? What makes something
teleportation.
bad? Other than preference.
Okay, you're about to say like facts, not feelings, but here
Wow, classic.
you're just saying like
Rune
feelings
of-
versus Bible, and in my humble view, feelings are more tangible
Sell
and
price.
real evidence for something happening than I'd say the Bible.
888
What
to
makes it bad is your
1125.
Yeah. How you feel
And
about
if
it?
that's the case, then if another person feels bad about things you feel
Yeah,
good
it's
about,
cheaper.
then that would make you bad.
I'll fly.
Yeah.
And they're
And
just
I
as
would-
justified in that position as you.
Yeah, but that's why in every decision that we make, we temper our utility versus how much it's going to harm other people. And I'd say what objective goodness is
Harm is
trying to
subjective, too.
decrease the.
Harm is still a subjective metric because what is harm to you may not be harm to him, may not be harm to him, may not be harm to
Yeah,
him.
but it's still less subjective than religion, in my
It's
opinion.
just every bit
Because
as
religion was
subjective.
just like one man decided and wrote it down. This is everyone feels the same way. You can be empathetic towards anyone who has feelings.
You don't believe in objective truth?
Can you give me examples of objective truths that aren't religious?
Yeah, the laws of logic.
I don't know. Probably.
Can the cup be a cup and not a cup at the same time? Can it be anything other than itself? Can the law of non-contradiction not exist?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
All right. I just want to
But
thank.
I just want to let you know that that's part of an argument for the evidence of God. And while people pretend that there is none, there is philosophical evidence
I
for
did
God.
say I was agnostic and not atheist
Okay.
fully.
All right.
I do want to thank Smash Nitro.
I'm pretty sure
who
I
became
am
a
too
tier
these days.
5,
I don't think I'm
member
like
of the
fully
channel.
atheist.
Thank you, man. Very much appreciate your support and patronage. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. We do have a chat here via Streamlabs from one sec, guys.
But I wouldn't
It's
view it as
loading.
like a
Sleepy Bear.
done.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the
That's
Streamlabs
bullshit,
message.
obviously.
Self-worth is not to be tied, to your profession.
Right.
It is tied to your posterity. Elderly talk about their children, not their jobs. How you make money is meaningless. Your children have all meaning.
Christian
There
God
could
is
never be
definitely
anything more
a
meaningful
bunch of mumbo
than
jumbo.
your own
Same as all the
children.
other
What else
ones.
could there be?
Thank you, Sleepy Bear. Very much appreciate it. Guys, if you want, get your last minute chats
way.
in. I'd like to offer up for now,
Wrong
if you'd
checkpoints.
like to each make a closing statement. Andrew, why don't we have you start?
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out tonight for this debate. It was very, very kind of you to do. I hope you enjoyed yourself. All right, I'm not the vicious, cruel, evil bastard I have been made out to be. At least not unless there's a panel full of dumb women. Then I become that evil, rotten, no good, et cetera, et cetera. But I do appreciate the exchange. Your worldview is severely flawed, but the one thing about you is you're no dummy. I think that you realize that there's some serious flaws there that you got to kind of work out. But other than that, I appreciated the good faith exchange.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, from the beginning, I already felt like I was probably going to have trouble classifying my views. And I know a lot of people are going to say, like, oh, why is she even, like, on this podcast? First of all, like, I never said that I was an expert. And, like, I don't know, people just told me it was a dating podcast. So I'm not claiming that everything I say is, like, absolute factual truth. I'm just expressing my opinion and trying to make an argument without, like, hurting other people. I don't know. Or just, I like that I was able to have a discussion here and find out that I'm not a utilitarian.
Okay. Has
Wait,
he
I'm at
changed your mind
56.
on
Do I?
anything, Andrew,
Where's
or
the
pretty still firm on beliefs?
mining trainer?
He's definitely made some points that I've had to concede to with my own views. I don't think he's convinced me of any of his views, but I think I definitely have to concede like on certain stuff, like when I said that I wish that I was aborted, or like the utilitarian thing. I do think you did a pretty good gotcha there with that one. So yeah, I think there are points where I'd have to backpedal and concede that I don't make a perfect argument every time, but I would still say I believe in my own views.
Stormwind's morning train.
If I had delivered this entire thing the meanest way I possibly could think of, but
Is
made
that on
the
the
same
outside of the
points,
map, or
would you still have the same opinion?
Even though I would, like, I wouldn't storm out if you did that. I think I would just be also very annoying to deal with, and I don't think either of us would have made any productive discussion.
It would have been more entertaining. Should we do it like for 5 minutes? You guys want to just go at each other? Yeah, just kidding. Let's see. We're going to a couple quick things. Nick, can you pull up the Twitch? Guys, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Just stick tight for just a bit. Guys, go to our Twitch. Twitch. Oh, whoa. No. Just the followers.
oh, that didn't really.
Guys, go to twitch.tv/whatever. Drop us a follow and a Prime sub if you have one. Twitch has a better streaming quality, and we're actually going to be starting up. It's in the works, but we're going to have Madison streaming on.
Do I have to go back to Exeter for the jewel crafting?
Account. So guys,
I do,
that's
right?
why I've been pushing the Twitch. Be sure to follow us over there on Twitch, twitch.tv/whatever. If you have an available Amazon Prime, drop us a Prime sub. Yo, Raz, thank you for the Prime there, man. Appreciate it. Drop us. Oh, look at. Oh my God, the follow. They're on
kind of
fire.
annoying.
Look at all these guys coming in. Thank you guys so much.
I need 65 for 10, right? So one more, please. I'm sure I'll get one. I've got the 11 bars. Right. Don't do this to me, Gam. If I log out for an hour, do I still have the 2-hour duration? Because I need to go for an hour. Okay, I barely made it. I gotta go help out Mom, apparently. So I shall be away for an hour. Alright, boys. Give me like an hour. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Peace.